Jazzcast Pros.
Our podcast episode today is part 2 of surviving travel with your friends. The last time we were together, I was on my way to India, making all of my lists so I could be a better friend to my travel partner. Big shout out to Annette. To my knowledge, we are still friends, but there were some hiccups, like being stuck on a plane in various countries, not of our origin or destination, for several days because we couldn't get home. It was so much. When I tell you, I felt the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, rising up, and I knew that I needed to do something immediately. And so we do the work in advance. We do the work on a day-to-day basis so that, one, we can manage our stress, we can manage our symptoms, and so that when crisis comes, we're better prepared. And that's what this episode is all about. Welcome to the Healthy Illness Podcast, the podcast helping you build healthier relationships while living with a mental health condition. I'm your host, Kelly Marie, and I am a woman living with mental health conditions. I share my life, my story, my struggles, my successes, all of the tools to help you be able to do the same. I am excited and thankful to be home, to be back here with my plants, with my people, and to be able to share really the success of the journey with you. Now, there was some wild times, but because of the preparation, I was able to manage the crisis. And so wanting to just really reframe and reset the reasons why it's so important to do the work beforehand. It's, yes, helpful and beneficial, right? But there are really 3 things that summarize why it's so important and so necessary to do the work, to learn how to use the tools, to try using the tools, to see what works for you, for 3 reasons. 1, to better manage symptoms, like your everyday symptoms of life living with mental health conditions, whether you have a diagnosis or not. They help you better manage your symptoms. So whether it's list making, right? Whether it's mindfulness, whether it's therapy, whether it's exercise, whether it's healthy eating, no matter what the tools are that you use to better manage your mental health and your mental health conditions, putting them in a regular practice in your day-to-day life helps you better manage your symptoms. The second thing, it lowers your daily stress, right? So if you look at practices like mindfulness, the research has shown that practicing mindfulness on a regular basis lowers your stress level. Lowering your stress level helps to lower the chances of your symptoms flaring up or having an episode. They kind of go hand in hand. And then the third thing is when you implement the tools and they're a part of your life and you use them regularly and you're able to kind of adapt and move on the go, you're better able to be prepared and manage crisis situations. And so this episode is really all about managing not just traveling with friends, not international travel, not different cultures, not being American and not wanting to, be a disgrace to the folks that you're there to support, but really managing in a crisis. So what crisis happened in India? Absolutely none. There was no crisis in India itself. The trip was amazing. The next episode is all about India itself, like what I expected and what I got. And there's some things that, I did expect and didn't happen, and things I did not expect to happen and did happen. So tune in next time. But the trip itself was incredible. The wedding was incredible. Big shout out to Yanel and Api. I am just so excited for you guys and your yappily ever after. And so thank you for having me. You guys just wait until next time. We're going to go all into the India trip. But on the way back, we ran into some problems with our travel. So Annette and I get a notice, like we're ready to go Tuesday morning, which is like Monday night here on the East Coast. We're prepared. Driver's ready to come, pick us up, take us to the airport. We get a notice that the flight's been delayed a couple hours. So cool, no problem. But you still have to get to the airport hour before your original flight time. So even though the flight's been delayed by, I think, 3 or 4 hours, we still had to get there an hour before our original flight time. No problem. We bump our car ride up a little bit so that we can negotiate that whole getting to the airport in time. Bet. We get to the airport. Cool. Go to check our luggage. Finnair, y'all got us on the check luggage. It's all good. You did look out, but we had a little hiccup with checking our luggage on the way back. We didn't do a lot of shopping. We did some and we brought some stuff back, but we decided to check our luggage ahead of time because we knew that the travel would be a lot, and have a lot to have to carry and drag a piece of luggage around airports. And so we went ahead and paid for the extra luggage to check. We get to the terminal, everything's all good. We were able to access the American Express lounge. So that was incredible, being able to just eat and drink and relax and just be without the hustle and bustle of being in the airport. And so we are chilling. It's time for the plane. We get to the gate. We learn that prior to this, India was in preparation for celebrating their Republic Day. And one of the things that were going to do for the celebration is have a military flyover. And, they would be canceling or closing airspace to be able to do this flyover. We knew that was happening. Did not know that would be happening at the time of our departure. It would not originally have been happening at the time of our departure, but the flight was delayed. So they're rushing us on the plane. It wasn't like a big deal, but they really pushed through and got everybody buckled in and all the bags, in the luggage compartments, and we're ready to pull out. And the captain gets on. He's like, we're just waiting for clearance. We're good to go. We're trying to hurry up and get out before they close the airspace. Everybody, got on board. Thank you so much for, accommodating us and getting buckled in and all that kind of stuff. Long story short, airspace closed and we couldn't take off. So we're stuck on the plane for about an hour. So I go to sleep. I don't know how long we were actually stuck on the plane because I went to sleep. I woke up as we were getting ready to take off. So we take off. Now, at this point, we have a connecting flight in Helsinki to go from Helsinki to JFK. Because we could not take off in time, we now have missed our flight from Helsinki to JFK. We already know that. There's nothing we can do. We're still in India, right? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So we get to Helsinki just fine. They put us up in a hotel. They book us on the next flight, which is the next day. So instead of going direct Helsinki to JFK, which was our original flight, the best flight that was available was to go from Helsinki to London, Heathrow, and then from Heathrow to JFK. Whatever. Are we on the way home? Because I'm tired, right? So sleep for the first night very well. We get back to the airport and the lounges are not open yet. So fine, no lounge access. Big shout out to Big Rob Dev for lounge access. Get looking out. Much appreciated. That really made the trip trippable. And so anyways, we hang out in the airport. We get some really delicious pastries and shop and do things, spend money because why not? Fly the 4 hours about to Heathrow. Now we're tired, right? Like we were supposed to be home by now. We ready to be home. So we have to go through customs. We've already gone through, immigration customs in Finland 2 times because we had to get off the plane and come back in, right? So now we have to go through customs again at Heathrow, and there's a British guy in front of me going through security, and the security officer is helping me put all my stuff in the bins. And he's like, oh, just put your boots in this bin where my scarf and my jacket were. And I'm like, with my scarf, like the way things were situated, my boots would have been on top of the scarf. And so he's like, oh, no, silly, not on top of your scarf. And then the guy next to me is like, those Americans, they have no class. Listen, so I was about to say, but we can still whoop your ass. I did not. I realized the situation. I realized I was a little bit in my feelings, and I realized that, I was actually having some friendly banter with people, and it was okay. So I laughed. Ha 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 ha. I laughed, and we make it through security and onto the bus to get to the gate that we need to get on to our next flight. So we were originally on Finnair. Our flight from Heathrow to JFK was British Airlines. So their planes were a little so tighter. You know, we had a little more space to breathe on the Finnair flight. And so it is what it is. It was a longer flight. We get to JFK. We have about 5 or 6 hours before our flight from JFK to Buffalo. We hit up the lounge. So first of all, let me just side note this. The Amex Centurion Lounge at JFK is everything. It's 2 levels. They've got a wellness hub. They've got a speakeasy. It was just amazing. So anyways, I'll have some posts on the trip on Instagram and Facebook at The Front Seat Life. So head over there to get that extra info. So we get to the gate. We're sitting at the gate. We're getting ready to go. There's a flight that leaves for Rochester like an hour before ours. And we're like, oh, Rochester, ha, ha, ha. That's so cute, right? And so then about 20 minutes before it's time to board, they canceled the flight. Cancel the flight. Yeah, the flight's been canceled because of weather. Wait, what? The flight's been canceled because of weather. Rochester is only an hour away from Buffalo. So if you flew in to Rochester, how could you not fly into Buffalo? Now, mind you, right, Buffalo just came out of these big snowstorms, a lot of lake effect snow, all the things. But what I do know at this point, because I've been checking in with home, is that it's rainy in Buffalo. There is no storm. There's no storm warning. My other job gives me information about weather. So I didn't get any alerts about any weather issues. Like, how is there a weather issue in Buffalo and you have to cancel the flight, but there's not a weather issue in Rochester, right? You didn't know there was a weather issue 20 minutes ago because we could have flew into Rochester and just drove home. So we hot and tired because we should have been home by now. Now, mind you, right, this is all about the list. This is all about the tools. This is all about self-care up until this point. They give us no information. Flights canceled due to weather. Go to the Delta counter. They will help you figure out whatever you got to do next. So we're walking through JFK. It's late. It's like 11 o'clock at night. And our flight was to leave at 11:30, 11:50 around there. So we actually end up having to go to the departures counter, which means we had to leave TSA, which means we're going to have to go back through TSA later on, right? So we had to leave TSA. We don't have our luggage because it's been checked. We don't know what to do. So we're trying to figure out where this customer service desk is. Long story short, customer service ends up being the departures counter at Delta. And so we get there, talk to there's 2 people there. One was pleasant, one was not pleasant at all. The pleasant person told us that, the flight was canceled, but you've already been rebooked on the next flight. We're like, okay, they're like, you should have gotten an email or text message. We had not at that point. Okay, well, when is this next flight? Mind you, it's 11 o'clock now. Well, it's probably like 11:30 now because we have gotten, had to make our way to the other counter. The next flight going from JFK to Buffalo on Delta is 11:50 p.m. tomorrow. Oh, I know it's not. So you trying to tell me Delta Airlines is not flying another flight to Buffalo or Rochester? Because now we could drive right from Rochester. I was ready to drive from JFK. That's another, not wise decision at the time, considering we're dead tired, we're sleepy, we should have been home by now. I'm like, you're kidding me. You mean to tell me, seriously, that there's no flight out of JFK to Buffalo, and so they can't connect you through other airlines, whatever, bet, fine, whatever. We getting up out of here. Talking to the Delta people, all right, well, if we can't leave until 11 p.m. tomorrow, do you have hotel accommodations? No, we don't make any accommodations when the issue is related to weather. Okay, you may not know you're lying, right? But there is no weather issue. What are your accommodations? So Delta refuses. They do not make any accommodations. They do not compensate. They don't do anything, not a meal ticket. You're just shit out of luck if you have a canceled flight due to weather. Awful convenient, but thankful that I know there are no weather issues. So are there other weather issues other places? Perhaps. Like I can't speak for no other places, but where I'm at the time, JFK, the weather's warm, it's a little rainy. And Buffalo, the weather's warm, it's a little rainy. What's the weather issue? Talk in the terminal from some employees. They were flight attendants. They were saying, oh, it probably has to do with the pilot certification to fly in fog. What? Like you can't fly in fog? Like, and so I don't know pilots, like if you out there, what does that mean? One would think, one being me, if you could fly a plane, you should be able to fly a plane in all weather. Because otherwise I'm only trusting you with my life on the sunny days. Like I just, that makes no sense to me. So Delta says, no, there's nothing they can do. We're stuck in JFK. Annette has family in the city. I have friends and family in the city, but I'm not trying to leave. Like, we got all this luggage. So, we have to go get our luggage. It was so much. When I tell you I felt the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, rising up, and I knew that I needed to do something immediately. So I could feel the tears coming. I was getting hot. I could feel the anger. Like I feel an episode of great proportion coming, and I need to mitigate this immediately. I look at Annette. She's flustered, visibly angry. The unhelpful person is being very unhelpful. And another person on the flight, she was in tears because she can't get home. It was just a very bad experience. And so in that moment, I'm like, I got to call my pastor. So big shout out to Apostle Carney Davis Jr. for answering the phone at 11:30 at night. He picks up, what's up, Kel? I need you to pray for me. So he started praying. I put him on speakerphone. Apostle, you didn't know you was on speakerphone, but you was on speakerphone. I put him on speakerphone at the Delta counter. I'm just like, I just let the Holy Spirit work, because I can't be on the no-fly list. I can't lose my job behind not getting home. Like, it was so much, so overwhelming. I'm trying not to get teary just thinking about it. Like, I know where I excel and I know where I have issues. I do very well under pressure, but not when there are no options, right? And so these people are telling me that there are no options for me to get home. So my pastor prays. I'm feeling much better. It gives me a minute to calm myself, do some deep breathing, receive the prayer. I'm able to be in the right frame of mind. I call Bobby D, and he, becomes like the operator at the Matrix. He's looking up hotel information, because I'm like, I'm gonna drive back. And so Annette is like, well, so I'm not even hearing Annette. Like I'm driving back. Robert's always been the voice of reason. And he's like, well, hold on. I don't think that's a good idea. You're tired. It's been a long flight. And so I'm able to receive what he's saying, even though Annette was saying the same thing, right? Like the brain, right? So he finds accommodations at the TWA hotel, which is right on the airport premises. Well, let me tell you something about TWA hotel. I see the signs for TWA hotel all the time. I'm a JetBlue loyalist. Like, I feel like if I can't go JetBlue, then I don't need to go nowhere. That's just me and my experience with JetBlue. I love them. They've always been there for me. The planes come when they're supposed to come. They leave when they're supposed to leave and get me to my destination on time. Never had a problem with JetBlue. I know JetBlue flies to Buffalo. So I'm looking up JetBlue because I'm going home tonight, and it's 1:45 right? Like, but there's got to be a flight leaving between now and the time no flights are leaving tonight. So looking up JetBlue flights. He's looking up hotels because we do have a ticket on Delta the following night. Find a JetBlue flight for the morning. And also he finds a hotel for us, a TWA hotel. Now, I always thought the TWA hotel would be very expensive because it's right there at the airport. It's super convenient. Like, why not have ridiculously high prices? Because you can charge it if people need it. So long story short, prices were not that expensive. I saw a reel about the TWA hotel, and was like, oh my gosh, I want to stay there. But when am I ever going to be just chilling at JFK to stay at the TWA hotel? It just doesn't fit with the type of travel that I do. And so lo and behold, I'm able to stay at the TWA hotel. So we're tired. We're heading over to the hotel, hop on the air train and walk a little bit to get to the hotel. Not a big deal. The hotel was absolutely adorable. It was everything I didn't know I needed in that moment of chaos and uncertainty. It is themed like 1960s, from the red carpet to the light fixtures to the music playing. Like, okay, so you're going to have to head over to At the Front Seat Life to get all of the details on the trip and what the rooms look like. And they have these little alcoves of, like, there's a living room, there's Howard Hughes like recreated office space. They have a Twister room. It's like a Twister, like the whole room is Twister. The floor, the ceiling, the walls, Twister, and like the dial is on the wall. You spin it to play Twister. It was the break that I needed from the chaos of the trip, on the heels of having such a upsetting and chaotic interaction with the folks at Delta. Annette said, this woman has no empathy. And this lady was nasty. But what I realized was, in the moment, it didn't matter if she was empathetic or not, or if she cared or not. She had the power. Her and the guy that was really nice, they had the power. They were able to see the system. They were able to see what flights were coming in and out. They had the power. And so it was of no benefit to go off on anybody. It was of no benefit to cuss nobody out. Like, it would have gotten us further away from our goal of getting home. I think about, going back to the reasons why we do the work. So all of that, I'm telling you that whole story to take you back to my beginning point. If I had not prepared well for the trip itself, the fun part would have been chaotic. I wouldn't have been prepared. And that would have chipped away at my internal ability to manage my stress. I would have had to, use more energy to, shop and, be aware and like have medication. Like I would have had to use all of my energy to do those things in a day-to-day capacity, leaving me empty for the impending crisis that I didn't know was coming. And so we do the work in advance. We do the work on a day-to-day basis so that, one, again, we can manage our stress, we can manage our symptoms. And so that when crisis comes, we're better prepared. We have a better reserve of energy. We have a better reserve of peace, right? Because you don't know when you're going to need it. There was no way for us to know that the end of the trip would be so chaotic that it would literally require me to call somebody for prayer, because I could feel, and I have not had that feeling in a very long time, that feeling of rage and anger, that it's like a light that just, like, for me is scary. And so I do everything I can to never be in that place. I will end the conversation. I will walk away. I walk away from marriage. Like, I will not be in a position to react in that way. And so one of my drivers and motivators for using the tools, for being in therapy, taking the medication, like all of the things, eating healthy, exercising, sharing my life in a podcast, right? All of the work that I do to be the light is really to prevent that from ever happening. And so this day-to-day work, this day-to-day process, this day-to-day, the little things that I do, sharing, the tips and tricks here that I use to live a healthy life, is because I know that the illness is there. I don't deny that it's there. And it takes a lot of work to live a healthy life, but it's possible. So I shared my story because it's a wild story, but to show you that it's possible to make it through something that I would have broken down at the airport, and I would not have known how to function. I would have been in tears, in a mess, unable to communicate, or I would have been angry and probably been on a no-fly list, right? Like, it would have been one of those two scenarios. And so I do the work. I implement the tools. I practice new things. I practice mindfulness. I read, I study, I learn about symptoms. I learn about triggers, right? Because I know what the alternative can look like. And I will purposely do whatever I can to not be hospitalized. Although if I need to be hospitalized, I'll take myself there. You don't even have to worry about it, right? But to do everything that I can to not be in a place of crisis. So that if crisis comes, I know I've done all that I can to be healthy, to be able to manage, and to be able to be there for my friend, right? I wasn't even traveling by myself. And so because I took care of myself well, I was able to be there for my friend, and together we could work through a very difficult situation. Unhealthy Kelly would have been, Annette probably would not speak to me ever again, or she would be visiting me in the hospital, right? Like, again, one of the two scenarios. And I don't say that lightly, like that. I know that about myself. And so a part of living a healthy lifestyle and managing illness and having relationships with people is living both for self, but living for self so that I can live for others. So I encourage you, no matter where you are, right? Like, mental health is a journey. It is a practice. Everyone has a measure of mental health, regardless of whether or not you have a mental health disorder. Everyone has a measure of physical health, whether or not you have a physical health disorder, right? And so just like you can work on your physical health and be healthier, you can work on your mental health and be healthier. So I encourage you to consider in what ways you could be mentally healthier. Up next on Healthy Illness Podcast, it's all about the India trip. What I expected, what I got. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, and share. Hey, listen, if you are in need of someone to talk to, you are interested in finding a therapist, or you're looking for services in your area, you can always try 211. It's a national network ran by the United Way. And there are also online options that are available. There are websites like Megan Thee Stallion's Bad Bitches Have Bad Days Too.com. Love that website. And I did a review of the website many episodes ago. But you can start there for resources, for places to go there in case of emergency or in crisis. If you need someone to talk to, you can dial 988 on your phone, and you will be connected with someone who is trained to help get you through a difficult situation, difficult moment in time. So I leave those two resources, or several resources, with you in case you are looking for what to do next, where to go next, where to seek help for yourself or someone that you care about. So until the next time, in the big countdown to 100 episodes with Jazzcast Pros Network, be the light.